You were somewhere just a few minutes ago. Maybe it was vivid, full of color, full of people, full of feelings that were completely real to you. Maybe something happened in that place that made you laugh, or scared you, or made you feel something you haven't felt in years. And then your alarm went off, and within 10 minutes, sometimes within seconds, it was gone. Not faded, gone, like it never happened at all. Every single night, your brain builds an entire world, populates it with people and places and emotions, runs you through experiences that feel as real as anything you do while you're awake, and then deliberately, systematically erases almost all of it before you've even had your first cup of coffee. Why would it do that? Why would your brain go through all the trouble of creating something so vivid and real and then immediately destroy it? The answer involves neuroscience, memory, emotion, and one theory that is going to completely change how you think about what sleep is actually for.
First, let's talk about what's going on in your brain while you dream, because it's not what most people picture. When you fall into deep sleep, your brain doesn't shut down. It gets quieter in some areas, but in others, it becomes almost as active as it is when you're fully awake. The regions responsible for emotion, memory, and visual processing light up intensely. The part of your brain that handles logic and rational thinking, the prefrontal cortex, goes relatively quiet. That's why dreams feel real but make no logical sense. The emotional brain is running the show. The part that asks, wait, why can I fly, is mostly offline. This phase of sleep is called REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Your eyes move beneath your eyelids. Your heart rate changes. Your body is actually paralyzed, a built-in safety mechanism so you don't physically act out what's happening in your dream. And during REM sleep, you are dreaming every single night. Even if you wake up and swear you never dream, you do. You just don't remember it. And that gap between what your brain experiences and what you can actually recall in the morning, that's what we're here to talk about.
So here's where the science gets genuinely fascinating. Your ability to form and store memories depends on a chemical called norepinephrine. Think of it as the brain's memory ink. When something happens and norepinephrine is present, the experience gets written down, stored, made retrievable later. During REM sleep, during the exact phase when you're dreaming most intensely, norepinephrine levels in the brain drop to almost zero. The memory ink runs out completely. Researchers believe this is not an accident. The brain appears to deliberately suppress norepinephrine during REM sleep, which means it's deliberately making your dreams harder to store as permanent memories. Your brain is choosing to forget them. And when you wake up, you have a tiny window, sometimes just 2 or 3 minutes, where fragments of the dream are still accessible in short-term memory. If nothing captures your attention in that window, if you check your phone, if someone talks to you, if your mind immediately jumps to your day, the dream dissolves completely and permanently. That's why people who keep a notebook by their bed and write the moment they wake can remember their dreams. They're catching the memory before the window closes.
But that raises the obvious question. If your brain is deliberately making dreams hard to remember, why? What's the point of experiencing something so vivid, so real, so emotionally powerful if it was never meant to be kept? And this is where it gets deep. One of the leading theories comes from neuroscientist Matthew Walker, who spent decades studying sleep. His argument is this: dreams are not meant to be memories. They are meant to be therapy. During REM sleep, your brain takes the emotional experiences from your waking life, the things that stressed you, hurt you, confused you, scared you, and it replays them in an environment deliberately stripped of the stress chemical norepinephrine. It processes the emotion without the pain attached to it. In other words, your brain is taking your hardest experiences and quietly working through them while you sleep, separating the memory from the raw sting of it. filing the experience away somewhere more manageable. You forget the dream because the dream was never the point. The processing was the point. The dream is just what processing looks like from the inside. Sleep isn't rest, sleep is repair.
Here's what really sat with me when I first understood this. Think about the hardest thing that ever happened to you. Something that, when it first occurred, was almost unbearable to think about, overwhelming, raw. And now, think about how that same memory feels today. Not gone, not forgotten, but different, quieter, like something you can hold without it burning your hands the way it used to. That change didn't happen because time passed. It happened because every single night while you slept, your brain was quietly working on it, processing it, softening the edges, making it something you could carry instead of something that carried you. Every nightmare you've ever had, every strange, emotional, confusing dream was your brain doing the most important maintenance work it knows how to do, taking care of you in the only window it has where the rest of the world goes quiet. You weren't just sleeping, you were healing. You just didn't know it because by morning, it had already cleaned up after itself.
So tonight, when you go to sleep, and you wake up tomorrow with nothing but the ghost of something you can't quite hold on to, know that it wasn't wasted. Your brain was busy, doing something it has been doing every single night of your entire life, without ever asking for credit. If you want to start remembering your dreams, keep something to write with right next to your bed. Don't look at your phone first, don't speak to anyone, just write whatever is there, even if it's just a feeling, a color, a single image. That's enough to pull the thread. And if you've ever had a dream that stayed with you, one that felt too real, too strange, too specific to be random, tell me about it in the comments, because I genuinely believe some of those aren't random at all. And that's a conversation worth having. Next time, we're going somewhere that sounds simple, but goes somewhere unexpected. Why do we yawn? And why, the second I just said that word, did some of you just yawn? The answer says something fascinating about how human brains are secretly connected to each other.